back to the channel. I'm so glad all of you can join me again today. Today we're going to be doing a review on something that's very exciting, and it's a movie that I have always really enjoyed. And I think a lot of you are going to be surprised that this is even released. It took me a long time to find out about this one. We're going to be doing Princess Bride 4K Remaster. And it is a stunner, and I've got a lot of exciting information to go into this one, and I think a lot of you don't even know this was remastered and released in 4K. And there's a lot of surprising things about this. It took me a long time to find this and locate this. And it's actually been out of print and out of stock for a long time, but I finally got my copy actually just the other day. And I wanted to get this review out to you guys as soon as possible because this is something that just recently came out this year. And it's pretty impressive. And if you collect movies like I do, this is one you're going to want to add to your catalog. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to tell you about what it's got on it, the visual quality, the audio quality, what makes this unique, and dive into where you can get it and all that good stuff. So make sure you stick with me here. I'm going to cover something real quick with you guys. As always, please make sure to like, give this video a thumbs up, click the subscribe button down below, and the bell notification right next to it. So that way you get notified as I release new content just like this today. And then you can always follow me on my Facebook or Instagram, and those are just the name of the channel, In Search of Physical Media. And then I will post the link for this down in the description below for this 4K Blu-ray. And that's the Amazon link down there that you can click on to go and buy your copy. This one took me a long time to find because in the German titles, you have to search by German. So I actually found it, posted it down there so you don't have to take the hours of looking for it that I did. So if you go down to the description section right below this video, you open that up, you'll find the link right there to click on it so that way you can get your copy. But we're going to dive back into this review here, so let's dive right back into this here. So this was remastered and released in Germany. And what's interesting about this is I'm going to tell you a little history of The Princess Bride, then we're going to get into this. For those of you that don't know much about The Princess Bride or haven't seen it, over the years it has become a cult classic. And what I mean by that is when the film originally was released in theaters, it was not very popular. It did not make a ton of money. After it was released in theaters in 1987, they then released it later on VHS after it came out in theaters in 1987. And when it was in theaters in 1987, it was not a huge film. But then when they released it on VHS, word of mouth and just like basically people I think understood it better the more they watched it. And I'll be honest with you up front. When I first saw this film many, many years ago, I think I watched it early 90s. I didn't ever see it in theaters. I was one of those folks that got it on VHS. We actually rented it from Blockbuster at the time. They don't exist anymore. But we rented it from Blockbuster and watched it. And at the time, my parents didn't like it. My sisters didn't like it. And I thought it was okay. But I don't think we really understood it. And what's interesting is it's one of those films where I truly understand why the cult following of people liking it the more they've watched it, the more time has gone on, that has made this film so much more popular. And what's interesting to me is the more I've watched it, the more appreciation I have for the film. And there's things that I find in it that I like more and more the more I watch it. So it's an interesting thing. It grows on you. If you haven't seen the film, and you watch it for the first time, go into it with an open mind, understanding that it's not necessarily just a fantasy film. It's more or less talking about, and I'll just tell you how it starts off. It's a boy, Fred Savage, who's laying in bed. It's around Christmas time, and his mom comes in. His grandfather, who is played by one of my personal favorite actors, Peter Falk, who is of Columbo, and I love Columbo. The review for that, by the way, is on the channel if you do want to see that. The complete remastered Blu-ray set is available. I did that review on the channel, so that is down there. But Peter Falk from Columbo is the grandpa in this, and he actually comes to visit the little boy who's sick in bed, and the little boy, he gives him a present for Christmas, and basically the little boy's upset because it's not a video game or a movie or something like that. And the grandpa says, well, books basically are better than any video game or movie, and that's what he had when he was a kid, and he gave it to his dad, and so on and so forth. So he says, I'm going to read you this book. The boy isn't really interested. And I love how the film starts off. I love how the film ends too, but the more you watch it, the more things you find to connect with as time goes on. And that's what I found as I've gotten older and I have obviously my own kids and things like that. I like reading to them and sharing stories with them. And that's where I feel like this film has a very, very unique thing. Throughout the film, it stops and goes back to the grandpa and the boy. And it's kind of basically the grandpa telling the story, the boy interjecting things, and it affecting the story they're reading through and going back and forth. and it's very well done. Rob Reiner actually directed the film, and it's based on a book that was actually written in 1973, and that was the novel that this film is basically based on. So there's a lot of history behind it, and if you haven't seen the film, I'd suggest watching it at least twice. Now, maybe not back to back on the same day. Watch it once and then come back another week later if you've never seen it before. It's one of those films, it is got fantasy elements, but it's not heavy fantasy. It's got, obviously it's based in the real world that he's reading his grandson a book. And it's got so many unique elements that it's a very classic 80s movie. And it's one of those movies that I think over time has basically made people appreciate it more and more. It's a very cute story. It's got some really good comedy in it. Now, some of the comedy is kind of a little bit, I don't know if you'd want to call it slapstick or things like that. And then some of it's more like deadpan comedy where, you know, they kind of just say something and then, I don't know, necessarily stare at the screen, but kind of. And so there's different comedy elements to it, and it's well done. The film over time has got more and more popular. And Peter Falk and Fred Savage, I think, do a great job in it. And Fred Savage you should recognize from The Wonder Years. And I always liked The Wonder Years, the TV show, but Fred Savage is a little younger in this. I think he did this before he did The Wonder Years, actually. But he was a great kid actor, and I think that's what sold the film so well, is the interaction between the grandpa and Fred Savage and reading the story and going back and forth, and it's got a lot of really great elements. Into the review for this 4K. Now, the 4K has a lot of things that are unique to it. There have been numerous Blu-ray releases in the US. There's one by Shout Factory, Fox Studios, things like that, and all of the Blu-rays had a similar issue with them, and that was that when they did upgrade the visual quality on them, it kind of made the picture more blurry and fuzzy because of film grain that they didn't know really what to do with because they couldn't upgrade the Blu-ray to a certain point past, I mean, couldn't go past 1080p basically. Now, what's interesting on this 4K remaster is, and I'm going to include screenshots as I'm going along, like I always do up here, but there's some things I want to cover on this. The screenshots you're going to see up here, they do not represent the 4K image you're going to see. Because of the way YouTube works, and when you upload a screenshot, YouTube is only going to display up to a 1080p image max. Now, this will give you an indication of how beautiful it looks, but it's not going to do justice to a 4K. I can't, and there's no way with the way YouTube's set up to show you a true 4K image that's a screenshot. It just doesn't come out that way. So what you see here is going to be way more beautiful in person. The clarity, the crispness, than what you're going to see in these screenshots. These are just going to be as close a representation as I can give you. And this is the best that's available. So it'll give you an idea. So if you see these and you think they're beautiful, it's way more beautiful in person. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So there's a lot of shots in this that are beautiful countryside shots. And I'll show you a shot up here of Buttercup. And she's the gal in the story riding her horse. Now she has a red cloak on in this picture up here. And she's riding her horse along the basically country bank there. And you can kind of see like her and her cloak flowing behind her on the horse. And the countryside with the grass going down below her. It's a stunning shot on 4K. Now, on Blu-ray it looked good before, but because of, and this is what's unique on this release has 3 of the highest grade 4K options on it. It has HDR, HDR10+, and Dolby Vision in it. And the HDR10+ on this is downright beautiful. The colors, I didn't realize that there was so many more color like spectrum that could come out of a 4K versus the Blu-ray remaster. And it makes, no offense to Shout's release, but it makes Shout's Blu-ray release kind of look trashy. I mean, and I'm not trying to diss it or make it sound horrible. I'm just trying to give you my honest opinion. This, hands down, looks gorgeous. Now, it does still retain the film grain. Now, film grain is natural to when they filmed on film, and because there is some natural film grain in it, it does still retain that. But here's what is different between what you're going to see in the 4K remaster here versus what the Blu-rays all had on them. On the 4K remaster, the film grain is present, but you can still see beyond that to the details in their faces, their lines, their hair. So even though you'll see the film grain there, they didn't digitally noise reduction it out of it, so that way it's gone. But because there's so much more detail in this 4K, full 4K remaster, that it is just beautiful. And over the Blu-rays, to give you an example, it's at least a 40% upgrade in color clarity, image clarity, and just overall sharpness. So you're looking at an easy 40% upgrade over even the Shout Factory or any of the other Fox Blu-rays and things that have been released previously in the US. Now, as I talked about briefly, this is a German release. This was not released in the US. So that's why I put the description, the link for this is, it was really hard for me to find. One, it's been out of print and out of stock for a long time. It came out about 2 months ago, and I wasn't able to get my copy. I pre-ordered mine, they canceled it because they sold out, and there's 2 editions of it available. One comes in a book that's a big, actual hardback book with pages in it and photos, and that one was the limited edition one that was sold out that I actually got my order canceled. So I ended up having to order the second printing, which is what this is. It doesn't come with the book, and I'll show you here just what it actually has in it. Now, here's something that's amazingly unique about this Blu-ray. You notice it's in English on the front here, that it actually says The Princess Bride on it. And I'm going to show you up here as we're going along because I know the reflection is horrible because of the lighting in here. But you'll see the pictures up here showing you the front cover. Now here's what's amazing. It's a reversible cover, and this is one of the first releases in Germany that I've ever gotten of a remastered TV show or movie that has a completely English front cover on it. And here's what's crazy too. The side isn't English. Now, it's reversible, and I'll show you here up here with the pictures. You can have the German one, and it's completely in German down the side, or you can have the English one, where it's obviously English on the front and the side. And I thought that was great, and here's why I think they did this. So this was released and remastered by Lionsgate, Home Entertainment, and Turbine Media. Now, Lionsgate obviously is a US company that did this with a company in Germany. So I think they intended people, and they knew people from the US like myself that collect these, because this isn't being remastered in 4K in the US, they knew that we'd import this or buy this and want to own this. So therefore they gave us the option, which I think is great. For me, it was a shocker when I got this, opened it up, took the cover out, and noticed one side's English, the other side's German. That's a huge thing for me. For a collector, that's great, because when I set it in my shelf, it's in English, The Princess Bride, and on the front, it's The Princess Bride. Now, the back does have some German on it, even on the reversible cover, but that doesn't bother me at all. You can still see everything clearly, and the rest of it's in English, which I thought was amazing. It makes it feel like it was just a USA release or something released in London or England, but it's an actual German release. So the actual title is quite different. It's in German. It took me a long time to find this, so I did post that link down there just so that you know. You don't have to go out there and try to search and figure out how to do the German word to try to locate it. It's already down there, and it's available. And this did just come back in stock, so that is why I got my copy. It is now available again, and this is the second printing. And so it is available now. It is a little bit more expensive because when you buy it, even buying it from Amazon US, we basically have to pay the fees for the translation and the money and things like that. But it's automatically included in that price that you see down there. But that is where I did spend a little bit more money for this. So I think for my copy, it cost me, after everything was said and done, somewhere around 40 bucks. So it might have been 35 plus shipping of $3 or $4, somewhere around there. So you're looking at probably around $40-ish for this version of it. And to me, that wasn't a bad price for something that I don't see them doing in the US, because Shout Factory just released that Blu-ray, and the fact of it is 4K and 4K collectors and things like that, it's just not as big as Blu-rays have been at the time. So this is one of those things I definitely wanted to import because I do like the film. And if you, like I said, if you've seen this film, it's got a lot of very unique characters in it, special moments, and it's a very 80s nostalgic feel movie, the way it's written, directed, and I love it. And there's just a lot of things, the more you watch it, the more it'll grow on you. So this does come with the 4K and the Blu-ray. Show you inside here. Inside, it does have the German title on both discs. So obviously you have your 4K disc and then you have your Blu-ray disc. And I got some exciting news on this. It is region free. Now, I know that 4Ks are naturally region free anyways, but not all are. I found this out the hard way with a title that I was going to review that I got last week that I ordered from Sweden, and it's not region free. I actually found out it's region locked, but most 4K discs are region free. In this case, it is that way. So the set is region free. I had no problems playing it on any of my players, and that's a huge deal. So it does have a bunch of the special features. There is a massive amount of special features on this set. And I'm going to give you just a slight idea of some of these here. So special feature wise, I'm just going to read through some of these for you. It's got audio commentaries by Rob Reiner, audio commentaries by the author, William Goldman. It's got, obviously, audio commentaries by Mark Knopfler, and I'm probably butchering their names, but I'm doing my best here. It's got behind the scenes, HD remastered behind the scenes, which I thought that was unique. That is on it. It does have some standard definition documentaries and featurettes, and there was about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 12 SD standard definition documentaries behind the scenes and featurettes, but it did have 2 HD remastered behind the scenes and featurettes. And then it also has, it does have a bunch of archives and photos and things going into, and it does have some making of how the film was made. Now, here's something else that I thought was really nice about this set. On the main menu, and I'll show you the main menu up here. On the main menu, when you go into this, it does, obviously in English, say play movie, so you can play the movie there, but then it does have the option to play the US trailer, the international trailer, or to play the German trailer. And I did like that. The option to have the US trailer, the international trailer, or the German trailer. So it has a bunch of things that they kind of tied together. It's like a US mixed, or I guess you could call it an English release with a German release, which was really unique for this 4K release because there's a lot of things on the menu that's in English as well as German, which is different than a lot of the times things that are released over there. So I think they're catching on in Germany that because they are releasing so many of these great 4K remastered discs, TV series, things like that, that people in the US are buying them. So that's why they're putting the English in the menus. They're putting them on the front covers and now on the spine. And then on top of that, it has the English full DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 on it, remastered audio, which I thought was great sounding on this release. It does have it in German as well, which is again the DTS HD 5.1 Master Audio for German audio. And then you can also do the 2.0 mono audios. Both those are included both in German and in English as well. And then it also has subtitles both in German and in English that you can run along, whether you're watching it in English, German, doesn't matter. You can mix and match the subtitles with mix and matching the audio, whether you want 2.0 or the 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio mixes. So I thought that was great. So basically, if you need subtitles, anything, they included it all on this, and this release is beautiful. I absolutely loved the case, the artwork. In my opinion, it's one of the best imported 4Ks that I've gotten yet. And that's a big deal. I have got a bunch of these recently that I'm going to be going through with you guys. A lot of special hidden things I've gotten. So y'all need to stick around to this channel because I've got some more exciting ones coming up here that I just got. But this was one that I watched the other night and I said, I got to get this review out right away. Beautiful release. I loved the cover work. I loved how it switched to English. The actual sharpness and clarity here, I'm going to set this down while I'm talking here for a second. The actual sharpness and clarity over the Blu-rays, like what I was talking about, is drastic enough that it's worth the price to pay to import or to buy this and to actually have it on 4K. Because in my opinion, if you have a 4K TV and a 4K Blu-ray player, the amount of clarity that you get out of it, color saturation, changes in the color spectrum alone, because you have to remember with HDR10 Plus, the color spectrum is opened up but by an additional, I think they said it's like 45%, which means there's more shades of color. So it makes it more lifelike, and it just looked beautiful. I had my wife watch it with me, who has actually never seen The Princess Bride ever. I had her sit down and watch it with me for the first time once I got this. I wanted her to see it fresh on a 4K release. And so I just kind of interviewed her afterwards to ask her what her thoughts were without my opinion yet. She said she thought it looked like it was filmed today, that it was something beautiful, just like the Aladdin 4K release that we just recently watched that Disney did. That one looks beautiful on 4K. She said this one looked just as beautiful as that. But this was filmed obviously in 1987, so that shows you how good of a job Lionsgate and Turbine Media did remastering this for 4K. Now the colors, I'll give you just a idea of an explanation. The colors between the Blu-ray and this 4K remaster are basically that they're toned down basically in the Blu-ray, and on this they're coming at you. They're very sharp. But what's also changed on the 4K remaster is, even though there is film grain in it that I talked about a little bit before, because the clarity is so much sharper, that film grain, some of it naturally fades out because the sharpness of the characters and the scene itself is so sharp that you can still see film grain, but you can see through it. And if you've ever watched a 4K that's been done right, where they didn't use digital noise reduction or things like that to try to edit out things incorrectly, this one is done the right way. It is one of the best 4K remasters I have seen ever of an older film. It just looks hands down amazing. Because it does have the English cover and everything like that on it, that's what makes me think that we won't see this released widely in the US, that this is simply something that Lionsgate did in Germany, put the English cover on it so that way we could import it. But I take that to mean that most likely this is just going to stay a German release, as a lot of these shows and movies that I've gone over on my channel, they aren't released in the US. So importing this, like I said, the link down there through Amazon, it's through Amazon US, so you don't have to import it. You can just buy it and have it shipped to your home. And this set itself, because of the clarity and the sharpness and the colors, what they did was still leaving the film grain and not overdoing it, but the sharpness in the image, the audio quality, and just the overall upgrade to 4K. For the money spent for this, let's say you spent $40, to me it's well worth it. And especially as a collector, to have this on 4K, such a unique title that most people, I bet you, didn't even know this was released. And this is a fan favorite, cult favorite film. To have this remastered in the highest quality is well worth it. For this release, it gets a 9.7. And that is a big deal. 9.7 for this release. And it just sold me on the fact of that it's got the cover in English, and they remastered it knowing that somebody like me from America was going to import this, so they already had it ready for me in English to switch the cover around. I mean, that was a huge thing for me. I was so excited about that, but let alone a lot of the menu options are in English. They gave you all the English audio options, 2.0, 5.1, remastered HD audio. The subtitles, both English, German. I mean, special features are all in English you can choose as well. The trailers, everything. They threw a lot in this disc set. 9.7 for this. I highly recommend picking it up. If you have not seen the film, get it in 4K. Watch it on a 4K Blu Ray player with a 4K TV, and you will be stunned at the image quality of this. I highly recommend it. I hope you're excited about this one. Please let me know as far as if you're excited about The Princess Bride, if you love the film, what you love about it, and if you're going to pick up this 4K release. I'm very curious if a lot of you even knew that this was released. I try to find things and get things a lot of the time and intermix between things that come out in the US and things that come out in other countries. And I really don't think a lot of you even knew that this was released. It took me a long time to find out because it's not called The Princess Bride in another country. I had to search by the German title and figure it out, and I have to do that to find some of these films. And when I found out this one was released, I was so excited because the film has grown on me as the years have gone by. And my wife said she understands it after watching it for the first time because she didn't quite get some of the stuff going on and some of the humor, but she said she wanted to watch it again because it's one of those films that kind of the more you watch it, the more you kind of get the subtle humor that's in it and the subtle like little things. Inconceivable! I mean, okay. You might not know what that means if you haven't seen the film, but anybody that's seen that film knows like what that means. I mean, inconceivable! I mean, over and over again. And the more you watch it, the funnier it gets, and you might think I sound kind of dumb saying that, but after you've seen the film, there's a lot of great actors that were from the 80s that they just lend to this. I mean, heck, Billy Crystal is unrecognizable in this, and I'll show you a picture up here of Billy Crystal. He's unrecognizable. You can't even tell it's him, but you can tell by his voice. Anyhow, and he's great, and he only has a short cameo, I'd call it, in it. But there's a lot of big name actors that have little cameos in it that I think added to what made this film grow in cult status as time went on. So I highly recommend this 9.7. Pick up your copy of this 4K remaster. Support this release because, as I said, they did something special in giving us the English on this, and I think that's huge. And again, the visual quality with the HDR10 Plus being a full 4K remaster, it is stunning. And I think that anybody that comes over to your house that loves this film and you pop this in and show them what this looks like on 4K, I think they'll be blown away. Because even the Blu-ray doesn't hold a candle to what they did with this 4K remaster. So highly recommended, 9.7. Please let me know what you thought about this. Please let me know if you knew about it, if you loved the film. I want to know if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you're excited about it, because this was one I was super excited about. So that's why I wanted to get this out to you guys as soon as possible. I actually just watched it last night, And so I woke up this morning, I'm like, I'm going to film this, get this out to you guys so that way you have something brand new to watch, something that I'm really excited about. So let me know in the comments below. As always, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know that you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button down there below and the bell notification next to it. And then I have the links, as I said, right below in the description below this for this set. You can go down there and buy it. Like I said, for a collector, it's something I think it's worth collecting. Some of the releases I've gotten over the years, I say, I don't know, it was worth the money. This one is. This one is so beautiful, you won't regret it. You'll enjoy the film, especially if you like The Princess Bride. You're going to want to have this in the highest quality possible, and it looks great. So get yourself a copy. Otherwise, I appreciate all of your time today. I hope all of you enjoyed this. I know this is kind of a quicker one, but I wanted to get this out. As always, I hope you have a blessed day.